All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
And you say you want 51% of companies to be owned by the workers.
Yeah.
Where's the money going to come from for that, or you just do it as a matter of fact without any compensation, just on the particular company issue?
Absolutely. What we need to do is that companies must just surrender 51%.
Just surrender, just like that, with no compensation.
They must surrender 51%. They've exploited the wealth of that country for far too long.
So just do it just as a matter of fact.
It is time that the people are now beginning to benefit. Our people don't have money to buy those shares. And they will never have money to buy those shares.
Right, and the same for land, because we know that a lot of people agree that obviously the fact that 80% of the land in South Africa is owned by only 10% of the population is something which should be addressed. The ANC, it has already signalled that it's going to be trying to introduce some reforms to make sure, for instance, that any individual South African can't own more than 12,000 hectares of land. It's going to redistribute 90,000 hectares of land to smallholders and so on and so forth. So on that particular issue of land, the government is trying to do something.
You can't intend for the past 21 years. They've had the power. Under President Mbeki, they had two-thirds majority. They could have done anything they wanted. Till today, they've not done anything. The figures you are referring to happened during colonial times, and they're still happening today, because the ANC did not want to tamper with the economic structure and the patterns of property ownership in South Africa.
Okay, so
they are not doing anything.
Let me ask you this then. An independent political analyst, Daniel Silk, says these demands, the ones that you've just been talking about, the corporations, mining companies, land and so on, represent a wish list from the EFF. The question is how disruptive they are willing to become if the demands are not met. Are you suggesting that you would do this by force?
We're going to engage in a very persuasive, peaceful engagement with capital. We've already done that. We're meeting captains of the industry. Some of them are beginning to respond to our memorandum. Some are saying, well, these are doable proposals. For instance...
civil disobedience? Would you use civil disobedience?
We will not use that until that our people are pushed to the limit. But I'm saying these people are prepared to give shares to the black elite who are politically connected. And if you're prepared to give it to one individual, why not give it to the workers themselves who are making this company to be what it is?
Sofas, kichima, Sibram Kondo, Halaye, shoot to kill, Umasa, shoot to kill, Kilame, kiss the poor, the farmer, kiss the poor, the farmer, Purpa, pa, Purpa, pa, attention.
Robin, thank you for joining us in studio and taking time to discuss your time as ambassador to South Africa in a very interesting period of history.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Robin, before we start talking about that specific period, you also spent some time in what was then Rhodesia.
Yes.
Covering and also a very important event. Can you take us through your experiences there?
When Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister, Rhodesia was one of our most difficult problems, and I was the head of the Rhodesia Department in the Foreign Office at the time. And she wanted a plan to deal with this crisis. What she was expecting from the Foreign Office was nothing much and rather wishy-washy. But we knew that's what she would expect. So instead, we served her up a very sort of adventurous plan, actually, which consisted of saying that, you know, we've been blamed for this situation over which we have no control. We're told, you know, you're the colonial power, do something about it. We don't actually run the country. We have very little influence. Therefore, this crisis has reached a point at which we really need to consider just intervening ourselves and actually taking charge and organizing, running the country for a while, organizing elections, declaring, you know, the winners, and then handing over like we did in every other country. Consider just intervening ourselves and actually taking charge and organizing, running the country for a while, organizing elections, declaring, you know, the winners, and then handing over like we did in every other country. Consider just intervening ourselves and actually taking charge and organizing, running the country for a while, organizing elections, declaring, you know, the winners, and then handing over like we did in every other country. Consider just intervening ourselves and actually taking charge and organizing, running the country for a while, organizing elections, declaring, you know, the winners, and then handing over like we did in every other country.
Our police station is on fire.
Shut up,
This
I
is
would,
Zuma's
I would
legacy.
like to ask that we perhaps allow
Legacy.
Honorable Buthelezi to move from that seat and so that for now, until we have assisted these honorable members.
You are instituting a coup in the
Zuma
IFP.
is not scared of us. He is scared of your men, not us. We are not going to do anything to
leave the house.
Madam Speaker.
He is the criminal. He is the thief.
I have called on the Parliamentary Protection
We are not
Services
going to leave the house.
to come
Let
into
Zuma
the
leave
chamber.
the house.
and assist
Zuma
these honorable
must leave the house. Zuma
Honorable
must leave the
Malema,
house.
you are the one who's not prepared to go. I hope these gentlemen will
You can
persuade.
kill me. It's fine. Kill me. Just kill me. There's no problem. Kill me. But DA is a divider. It's not a unifier. They now make black Africans to hate black colors because they will think black colors receive preference. We don't want that. We want all of you to be one thing. Africans or no Africans, you must get employment.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.